Welcome, everyone. It's Dr. Russell. Sorry we had some technical difficulties. I'm here in the beautiful meditation center with Anthony Chielli. So we're going to ask him some questions, and if you have any questions, please feel free to comment and we'll check below. But we're going to get to know Anthony, and I have some great questions I'm excited to ask. So
cool.
All right, so tell us briefly about yourself, and then kind of your business and kind of what you do.
Sure. So about myself, I've been practicing meditation for most of my life. My uncle introduced it to me when I was pretty young. He took an interest in me, and we used to do like yoga and stuff like that. I always thought it was kind of silly at first. And then I went to college to be an engineer.
Oh wow!
Because everybody told me I should do that because I was good at math, and it was a steady job.
True, very true.
But I fell in love with psychology and eventually restarted a really strong practice of meditation and eventually started teaching it. And that's what I do for work. I work at the Stockman Center, the James M. Stockman Cancer Center. They have an integrative medicine program, which is where we met. And as well as some corporate places, AstraZeneca, GlaxoSmithKline, and locally here at the Frederick Meditation Center.
Good, awesome. How young were you when your uncle started? Like elementary school, or?
Yeah, like I was
really young?
I was young.
Wow.
And we used to have these sort of really deep. He used, I don't know why he sort of picked me out. He didn't have kids of his own. And so, of his nieces and nephews, he took an interest in me, and we used to have these really deep. I remember being really young and having these like really deep conversations about attention and reality and stuff like that. It was amazing.
Cool. He sounds like a great influence to have then.
He was.
Nice. Well, this kind of segues into my next question, so you kind of already answered, but what got you into mindfulness and meditation? So definitely it sounds like your uncle, and then...
Yeah, he was probably the largest influence from a meditation practice, and then mindfulness specifically was in college. I took the MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction class for the first time, which I've taken multiple times since and will be teaching here at the meditation center. And then in looking into some of the research behind it, it had mindfulness meditation had the most research behind it, and it was also secular. So that made it more accessible to others as well as me, because I wasn't religious. And so I'd say sort of my uncle got me started in meditation, and then sort of scholarly pursuits got me sort of set on mindfulness.
Awesome. So this, I mean, you kind of answered this a little bit, but yeah, was there one moment in that class or one moment that stands out that really for you was kind of the deciding factor of I have to do this with my life versus going the engineering path? Or was it a series of moments maybe? Or?
Well, I think instead of going, I think failing Calc 2 was probably
so an
the
anti-moment.
not engineering path. But really, my Psych 101 professor was one of the happiest, most knowledgeable people I'd ever met. And that really got me interested in understanding my own mind and the mind and others, and sort of this human condition that we're all stuck with. And I don't know if I was really set on teaching meditation until later on. I was selling roofs for a little while working here at the Frederick Meditation Center. And then once I started to work at the hospital, the ability of a strong mindfulness practice had such huge impacts on my life and those of the people I started to work with, and how the practice that they started, whatever that looked like, benefited them. I started to realize that that was something I would really want to provide people with the opportunity to access.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
So this is a little different of a question because I'm curious in interacting with patients, telling them to meditate. But what is one common misconception you hear a lot from people about mindfulness and meditation?
The most common misconception about meditation between I have to sit still and I can't do that, and I have to clear my head and I can't do that, are the things that I hear from people the most often. Neither of those things are required to meditate. Yoga or really gentle walking meditation is all forms of mindfulness meditation that involve movement.
Right.
And we're not trying to... I think that in some way people think that they have to change, that meditation is like a self-help practice where they're trying to become someone else. Whether it's someone who thinks less or sits stiller, you know. But it's really a practice of touching more deeply into who we already are, and starting the healing and the changing from a better point of understanding. And so I guess I'll reframe that and say that the largest misconception is that people think meditation is to become someone else or someone better than the version of themselves that they are. And it's not at all of that. It's the opposite. It's tapping into who you already are. And there's less work in that, per se.
Right,
you know,
right.
You don't have to get anywhere. Yeah.
Well, and like you said, it is going more in and to your true self is healing. I mean, because you're really touching into what your body needs or what your mind needs.
Yeah, and then the change naturally happens from that space of understanding, as opposed to like from the outside sort of looking at yourself and saying, oh, I should be better at this.
Right, yeah. Gotcha.
Sure.
Yeah, and then kind of tied to, you know, I guess what we were just talking about with, you know, people's perceptions of things and, you know, the commitment to meditation.
Yeah.
So because I know a common thing people always say, they don't have time. Oh my gosh, that's one more thing. I don't have time for this. You know, it's a big commitment.
Right.
What do you usually tell or say to people? Is there something that you say to them about that? Or 'cause I'm sure everyone watching is stressed and you know, it's one more thing on our to-do list we have to do. So
right. There's a teacher that I really admire, John Kabat-Zinn, who says we have nothing but time. And we really do only have a finite amount of time that we exist in this condition on this planet.
Right.
And so part of it is making a choice about how we want to spend that time, and understanding that we only get so much.
Right.
And then when we recognize that, we sometimes we'll say, well, maybe I shouldn't spend so much time doing X, and I should, you know, I could probably spend more time doing Y, helping myself, or whatever it might be. And it does require some time to have a daily practice of formal meditation. Mindfulness can be done anytime, anywhere.
Right.
If you're paying attention in the present moment on purpose, non-judgmentally, you're being mindful.
Right.
So there are ways to make your commute into a mindfulness practice. If you notice every time someone cuts you off and that, you know, that visceral reaction that we have, if you're aware of that, then you're gaining more understanding about yourself. And you can pay more attention to the scenery as you drive by it, as opposed to already being in the meeting. But that muscle of mindfulness is best strengthened during formal periods of meditation. So if we want to access mindfulness throughout the day, the best approach is to start with a daily practice. But you can strengthen the muscle of mindfulness by just practicing during the day, if you set the intention to do so.
Yeah. So is that for some people maybe an easier way into meditation? Just start with the mindfulness, or do you feel like doing both is pretty beneficial?
Yeah, I don't know if it's easier, because I think,
I guess more accessible. Maybe easier is the wrong word.
yeah, it's more accessible for people to be like, well, I'll unload the dishwasher mindfully every morning.
Right.
But I think to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and really get the benefits of the practice, there isn't much research on unloading the dishwasher mindfully every morning.
That's weird.
And how much that could reduce, the cortisol in your blood, or increase your immune system, or any of that. So,
Pretty good study.
Right, it would. Informal practices of mindfulness, but setting the intention to pay attention to what you're doing makes us happier people, because we spend less time ruminating and ruminating on the past and worrying about the future.
Yeah.
So even if we are commuting to work on 270, paying attention to that might just be better than already being in the meeting, because it's the only time that really matters is right now anyway.
Yeah, very true. Perfect. Well, I will check in real quick and see if we have any questions.
Sure.
But if you want to talk real quick while I'm doing that, where people can learn more, I know you have a class coming up, and I'll talk about our workshop.
Yeah. So my training has been on the MBSR curriculum, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction, and I'll be working under supervision of the University of California, San Diego. I'm trying to plug away at my teacher certification. It's a lot of hours. A lot of it is in class teaching, and so I'll be teaching my first formal MBSR class. It's an 8-week program. It's a large time commitment. So for that question about time, it's 8 2.5-hour classes in one full Saturday, 7.5-hour retreat. But this is the most research-based approach to gaining the benefits of meditation that you hear about in mainstream media, and a really great way to start a really solid formal meditation practice if you're looking to do that, to bring this into your life fully as a daily practice.
It's a good commitment.
It's a great commitment starter, this 8-week course. You'll have all the skills needed to go from there to sort of, it's like the beginning of the rest of your life.
Yeah. And we will post, I know you sent me a link to that, so we'll post that in the comments below, so if you're interested, definitely click on that to learn more. And then we're having Anthony, if you liked what you heard today, we're going to have Anthony come on March 21st from 11 to 12:15 to our place to teach what do we call it? Mindfulness for reducing stress and anxiety. So who couldn't benefit from that? And he's going to walk you through some of the benefits and then do an actual formal meditation.
Yeah, right? We'll do experiential as well. Yeah,
so you'll get a feel for what it's like. And like he said, the different meditation where you're not just sitting and making your mind turn off, because that's impossible, I think, for all of us. Yes. So thank you guys so much for watching. Did you have any last minute additions or things you wanted to throw out there?
I guess dates are good.
Dates are always good.
Dates are always good. So the MBSR class starts, there's an intake and an introduction class on March 28th. And then the formal first of the 8-week courses starts on April 1st. And maybe if you've made it through this, before we depart, if we could just pause for a minute. So you don't have to close your eyes or sit particularly still or cross your legs. If you could could check in with your own experience, and if somewhere in there there's sensations from the breath, either in the nostrils or the chest, the stomach. And let's just say for the next 3 breaths, we could just pause and not do anything at all. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching.